This happened a few years ago when I was still living with my mom and I had borrowed her car to go see my then boyfriend for the evening. It was around midnight when I got back to my neighborhood, so the roads were empty. And that's when I noticed this dirty, run-down, rusted, white utility van that a maintenance guy would drive, following me. I never ever saw the driver's face, but I got this immediate sinking feeling in my stomach because something felt wrong about this van. Now I was only 20 at the time, but I knew better than to just drive straight to my house and letting this person know exactly where I live, no matter how desperately I wanted to just go home and ignore it. But I also wasn't 100% sure they were actually following me yet. I didn't want to jump to conclusions just because it was late and I was alone and being paranoid. So I drove to a shopping complex a few minutes out of the way that's well lit and has a public library to see if I was followed there. I thought I lost the van but decided to wait in the parking lot for a few minutes because I had a bad feeling I just couldn't shake. Sure enough, the van showed up and was driving in random circles around the parking lot, looking for me. This scared me quite a bit, so I drove towards the big mall here that's always got security or police presence, because it was the midway point between where I was and where I lived. I parked in a pretty well-lit, although empty, 24-hour McDonald's parking lot where I had a great view of the roads and the mall, but I wasn't super easy to spot, and waited to see if the van showed up looking for me. It did. And of course this would be the one-time security, and the cops are nowhere to be found, which was half the reason I decided to head there in the first place. Realizing whoever was driving this van was 100% actively following me in the middle of the night, I knew just driving home was not an option, and that's a terrifying realization. Luckily, the police station is just a few minutes away from where I was. So I try and discreetly drive away, hoping the van hasn't noticed me yet. I wasn't that lucky because it wasn't long before the van was back in my rear view mirror. At this point I'm panicking pretty hard and my anxiety is high. I finally pulled into the police station parking lot, and seconds later the van came to a stop in the middle of the road for no more than a few seconds, I'm guessing just long enough for them to realize where I led them, and they took off immediately. And so fast. I did make it home safe and without seeing the van again not long after, but this whole ordeal took up at least an hour of my night. It was after 1 a.m. by the time I made it home. And I was terrified the whole time. I don't know what this guy's specific intention was, but honestly I don't need to know. I know it was nothing good and I likely avoided a very bad situation. If you think someone is following you, it's not stupid or paranoid to make sure you aren't right. Who knows what might have happened if I had led them to my house or gotten out of the car.